Hi there. Welcome to LMS. LMS stands for Logical Moderator Solutions. The following video is owned by Logical Moderator Solutions. It is strictly forbidden to download, copy and/or redistribute this video without the written permission of LMS. Recording this video with a device like a mobile phone, your computer or a camera is strictly forbidden. Please sit back, turn off your mobile phone and watch this video with your full attention. In this video, I am going to explain to you how to be a successful chat moderator on our platform. As a moderator, you have various goals when it comes to handling messages. You want to reply to as many messages as you can. But you also need to make sure that the messages keep coming in by keeping the conversation going. It is very important for us that the quality of your messages is good, but also for yourself as a chat moderator. Now, let's start by logging into the platform. First, let's go to the platform by typing in the link in the address bar of the browser. First, type in the link you received after completing your registration. At this point, you should probably have received your login details from an administrator. If that's not the case, you will get them soon, so don't worry. Also, before you start or stop working, let your office manager know. So, at this point you should first let your office manager know that you will start working and then you can log in. For now I will use my account information. Before I go further, let me advise you to never give your login information to anyone. You are fully responsible for all actions that take place on your account. Your account is being monitored. Next, I type in my username of LMS664. Be sure to do that in capital letters. And in the next field, my password. Just press enter to log in. Here on the top you have the main menu. Messages, statistics, announcements, and manual. The most important one here is messages. This is where you will be chatting to the customer. So, let's check that one out first. Sometimes it may take a while before the web page loads up. Please wait patiently as you see this loading. If it takes too long, you can try refreshing your browser, usually that helps. Once the page is loaded, you will see the role you are playing on the left side. In the middle, the space where you can write your messages, and on the right side, the person you are chatting to. The customer. Be sure to read as much as possible about the customer before replying. Never ask for something that is already written in the profile or in the logbook. What you should do is use this information to ask more questions. For example, if they like running, ask them if they will run this weekend. Let's look at the middle. Here you can write messages you will send to the customer. Messages should contain 150 characters or more, and at least one question. Adding a smiley is optional. The maximum length of one message is 800 characters. Start each sentence with a capital letter and put a space after each point when a sentence ends, not before. Names of countries, people or places are always with a capital letter. Write correctly at all times. We advise you to use Google Chrome as your web browser since Google Chrome has many helpful extensions available for free. One of them is Grammarly, which makes sure everything you type is easy to read, effective, and mistake-free. To download and install Grammarly, browse to their website with your Google Chrome browser to grammarly.com. Then click the Add to Chrome button to download and install the extension in your browser. Please take note, Grammarly is only used for the English language. Only use it to correct English words. You still need to check and correct the grammar of all sentences yourself as Grammarly can't do this correctly for you. For the Dutch language, you can use Language Tool. You can find this extension at languagetool.org. To install it, you simply click the Install the Chrome extension button. Furthermore, never ever use auto-refresh tools to auto-refresh your page. This is strictly forbidden. Make sure that every message has a question, so that you can keep the conversation going. This is very important. Email addresses and telephone numbers are censored by the system. Please never provide contact information like email or telephone numbers to the customer. On the left side, you will see all the profile information of the role you are playing, the so-called player. And finally, on the right side, you will see all the information of the customer. This conversation was left off somewhere and usually is not new. Therefore, please read carefully what the conversation is about before replying and be sure to use suitable language, especially with currencies. For example, in the UK they use the word penny and pounds for money. But in America they use the words cents and dollars for their currency. All these countries have their own currency. Canada is using the Canadian dollar noted by any of these symbols. New Zealand uses the New Zealand dollar, noted by these symbols. Australia uses the Australian dollar. And the United Kingdom or the UK uses the pound sterling. Please take a note of all these different currencies and use accordingly. I will tell you more about the location later on in this video. You also need to keep an eye out on the time of the customer. Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and the UK all have different time zones. In the upper right corner of the conversation, you will see a time. That is the time of the customer. So be careful not to say good morning while it's already evening where they are. Check their time first and then reply accordingly. Continue the conversation where the poker left off and build it from there. This gives a feeling that you are indeed listening to what they say. Use parts of sentences of the customer and try not to miss anything they say or ask. In this example, Pete talks about living in a cove and playing ice hockey on Saturdays. These are all opportunities to ask him more about these events. For example, you could reply with something like, "Hi Pete, I'm curious to know more about your cove. It sounds amazing that you do a sport like ice hockey. How did you learn to play this? It looks like you need a lot of practice to control the hockey puck while skiing and aiming for the goal." You see, I've taken parts of what he's saying and tried to build the conversation up from there. No wonder Pete now adds me as his favorite. Be sure to answer messages in different ways. Your answers should excite the customer to go on with the conversation. Especially customers like Pete who add you to their favorites. Try to make the conversation exciting for Pete so he wants to chat more. I'll give you an example of a conversation that went very exciting for the customer. Andy first says that they can do anal. The player answers very exciting. "Oh really? Well, I hope that you will do your best to be gentle with me, so tell me, how big is your cock, sexy?" Andy then asks for a picture. The player doesn't have a picture but keeps the conversation exciting by still asking about his cock. Then Andy does still send the picture. Amazing. The player then reacts with a wow. And so the conversation keeps going and going. I hope this gives you a basic idea of what to do. Be creative and keep the conversation going. Make them ask for more. Keep in mind that the length of each message should be at least 150 characters. 150 characters or more is standard for every message. Also, if you receive a message with, for example, 800 characters, you need to respond with at least half that amount in characters. Don't be afraid to write and ask Pete more about his interests. If you give short answers, you will just doom yourself to a conversation that ends too quickly, which means that you also earn less. To do this, you can just send us an email at lm-solution@hotmail.com and request a refresh. After this, you should get more messages. Let's look at notes. Lower down on the left side, you will see notes. These are important notes about your role that other moderators have written down. It is very important that you do not deviate from these notes, so you should read them carefully before replying. You can write your own notes here as well. I'll give you an example of how adding notes works. There is a conversation going and at some point, the customer asks how old your husband is. You then check if this information is found in the notes. Since it is not there, you will need to add it to the notes. Think about a realistic age. The player's husband could be based on current information about the player. Let's say, 35. You then add a simple note, husband is 35, and add this to the category relations. You click Save Note and you're done. Now reply this age to the customer. Every type of information you add needs to be in the correct category. If there is no category available for the information you would like to add, please choose Additional. It's as simple as that. New notes should not contradict current information about the player. That's also very important. There is also a feature to schedule messages, but please do not use this feature. All messages should be sent straight away. Location. Usually the player has information about the location. If so, you can just provide this information to the customer if asked. In some cases, the player has no information about the location on their profile. In a case like that, you look at the customer's profile for the location and then use Google Maps to look for a location that is not too close but also not too far from the customer. Also, be sure to check the player's notes in case another moderator already added a location for this player. If the player has no location either in the notes or in their info, you can then start your search for a location for this player. Important to know. If there already is a location in either the notes or in the player info, please do not search for a new location. Use the location you find in the info or notes instead. To be clear, only look for a new location when there is no location in the notes or in the player info. This player has no location in the notes or player info, so let's find a location. This customer lives in Scotland, Edinburgh. To find a location near the customer, first go to Map Developers using this address. Then, enter the customer's location in the address bar. Edinburgh in this case. The location you choose for yourself should be at least 10 kilometers distance from the customer's location but not more than 40 kilometers distance. To help us with this, we will make two circles. Let's make the first circle of 10 kilometers. Make sure it's set to kilometers. Then, set it to 10. Then, click New Circle. Let's make the second circle of 40 kilometers. Just enter 40, then click New Circle. Now, all you have to do is choose a location that is outside the small circle but still within the bigger circle. For example, Haddington. Then, we write this location in the notes. Now you can tell the customer where you live. Write down, lives in Haddington, Scotland. Then choose the city category. Then, save the note. Never make appointments with the customer. You could, however, tell them that it would be a good idea to meet up, but never make a definite appointment to suggest it. Try to change the subject in a good way if the customer wants to meet. Number 1. Show interest and use the profile information of the customer. The customer should get the feeling that you really want to get in touch with him and stay in touch with him. Ask a lot of questions and use the profile information of the customer at the right side of your screen. Do not ask questions you already know the answer of. I'll give you an example. If the customer wrote down that Copenhagen is his place of residence, a good question would be, what would you show me in Copenhagen? And a bad question would be, where are you from? Let's look at another example. If written down in the logbook that the customer loves SM, a good question would be, are you dominant or submissive when it comes to SM? A bad question would be, what do you like when it comes down to sex? If the customer has a profile photo with a healthy bare chest, good questions would be, how did you get a body like that? Do you play a lot of sports? Do you have more photos? A bad question would definitely be, what do you think about my photos? Number 2. Logbooks. Read these carefully and keep this logbook updated so the next moderator knows where to continue. Most of the time you will start chatting when the conversation is already on. It is therefore very important that you read the history so you know what the conversation is about. This is the easiest way to continue the conversation. An important rule of thumb is, read at least the last 2 notes. You can read the latest important notes. The customer doesn't like it when he gets the same questions again. When you update the logbook, be sure to put your update in the correct category. The player and the customer both have the logbook, and you should check and update both. Never put whole sentences in the logbook. Keep the information short and sweet. It is not allowed to ask the customer for their money, phone number, email address or home address. The system will block this information with stars. However, in some cases, the customer might still send you their phone number or email address and you will see that this is partly blocked. Please do not tell the customer that you do not see their full address or number. When you add this information in the notes, please add it with stars also. Number 3. Ask original questions. Don't ask standard questions. If a customer tells you that he is looking for sex, then you should know that asking questions about his hobbies is not interesting for him anymore. You should ask questions that fit the conversation. For example, a good question would be, what if I am standing in front of your door now? Or, what did you eat today? Or, did you have a nice day at work? Number 4. Write personal messages. If the customer has the name Pete198225, don't ask him for his name, but just call him Peter. A good question would be, hey Peter, did you sleep well? And a bad question would be, hey, what is your name? Number 5. Start using cute words later in the conversation, not at the beginning. Using cute words to make the customer feel good is a great idea, but you should start using it after you have been chatting with him for a while. No one will start calling someone baby in the first message. This sounds whorish and unbelievable. You can do this when the customer feels comfortable with you. You can start with asking for the name, or ask any other basic questions from his profile. After a while, you can start using cute words. Number 6. Use photos if available. As a moderator you can, if available, send a photo of the player, but use them sparingly. Only send if the customer asks for it or if it's the right moment to do so. If the player does not have any photos, please do not promise the customer that you will send one. Adding photos is easy. When the player has photos available, you will see a Add Photo button just below the chat box. If you do not see this button, the player has no photos. To add a photo, just click on it, then you can choose which photo to send. Click once on the photo and select Add Photo. Then, write your message and send it. Photos of players and customers can be viewed by clicking on the photo icon beside the message. When the customer sends a photo of them, do not forget to add it to the notes. All photos. It doesn't matter what kind of photo it is. are added to the nude category in the notes. If the customer sends you a photo, use this to your advantage. If they send you a photo, they would of course like it if you react to their photo and ask questions about it. Show interest. Number 7. Reply to all the questions in detail. When a customer wrote you a long message, he expects a long message back. If the message is 400 characters and your reply 80, this shows disinterest from your side. Don't give short answers, ask questions instead, and reply in detail. At the same time, ask questions but also add some feeling to it. Do not make it look like a cross-examination or an interview with the police. If the customer wants to show emotions, pay attention to it. If you understand the customer and listen well to him, he will be more dedicated to you. A high response rate is essential for scoring a high QA. If a client has few credits left, the operator must do their best to ensure that the client gets more credits and stays on the platform. As an operator, you must be alluring, creative and sensual. Always ask open, interesting and hot questions. Check online for any sexy topics to discuss with clients. If a client has 1 credit left, trigger them to get more, but don't say it directly. Make the conversation so hot that they cannot refuse to respond. As a last resort, sending a sexy picture with a hot message as an example. Number 8. Play a role, have fun. You're an actor. As a moderator, you are a digital actor playing the role of the player. A good moderator can change usage of language very easy, matching to the profile he is using. An old lady of 50 years old is using different words than a teenage girl of 19 years old. As I mentioned, you are an actor, but do not mention anything about being fake or speak about credits. Do not send identical messages or any messages that look alike in any way. This is seen as copy and pasting. Do not initiate meetups or give false hopes, meaning never mention anything about looking into your schedule or similar. Also, do not speak about love. Last but not least, let's sum up a few rules you need to keep in mind to make sure the quality of your messages is at all times high. Copy and pasting messages is not allowed. This can reveal that the customer is chatting with a fake profile, and this is exactly what we do not want. Remember, you are an actor and you need to chat according to your profile information. When you copy and paste messages, there is a high chance that the customer will find out they're chatting with the same person on different profiles. Try to be original with each profile and do not copy and paste. Never talk about murder, animal sex, underage or incest. When the customer asks you about any of these topics, make it clear that you do not accept to go any further about them. You can try to change the direction of the conversation in a friendly way. For example, if the customer says, "Did you ever have sex with a horse?" you could reply with something like, "I do not want to talk about things like that. Tell me more about yourself." And then as they give answers, you go further and ask questions about a different topic. Whatever happens, remember to always resist talking about murder, animal sex, underage or incest. If the customer says that they are younger than 18, for example 15, immediately reject them. If you still notice anything against these rules, please use the big red report button in the upper right corner to report this issue. Never be rude to the client. Do not argue with a customer or offend them. The customer is always king. Be realistic but stay friendly. If the customer sounds very disappointed about something, try to apologize where possible. Of course, don't overdo this and stay realistic but never argue with them. Give emotional support and try to take their side instead. Or if possible, change the direction of the conversation by asking questions about another topic. If the customer says, for example, "I do not like the way you talk to me, I feel offended," Instead of arguing and being defensive about it, say something like, "I'm sorry honey, I didn't realize it would make you feel offended. It won't happen again, okay? Tell me more about the great experience you had yesterday." Don't sell no when the customer is asking for social media or webcam. Try to go around the question instead. For example, if the customer asks for webcam, reply with something like, "I'm not sure about that yet. I would like to get to know you a bit more first before I can even consider that. Tell me a bit more about yourself. What are your hobbies?" Do not be too friendly or too sweet. Calling your customer baby, sweetie or honey, for example, too many times, is not permitted. Just use their first name to be safe. Here's an example of what I mean. The customer says that his name is Dave and asks for a meet-up. The player then replies, using his first name, Dave, and goes around the question asking for more info. Do not go straight to talking about sex. Not all customers want to talk about sex. If they talk about their hobby, ask questions about their hobby, but do not change the subject to sex. To give you an example, if the customer asks you how your day was and what you do for a living, do not give a sexual answer but give a normal answer like, "Hi Dave, I had a great day and how was your? I work as a cashier at the local pet shop. What do you do for a living?" Now, this one is especially for the Surinamese or Dutch moderators. Do not use Surinamese words for names of foods in the chat. Avoid this at all costs. Write in plain and correct Dutch. Moderators should do their research based on the clients on all the platforms. Treat every client based on their country, culture and way of talking. It is very important to do your research regarding this. Always double-check your message before you click on send. Make use of a spell checker. If you are not sure, just Google the word and look for the correct spelling. Please realize that the customer thinks that players also pay for sending messages. I say it again, do not send very short messages, make them long and ask questions. Never be the first to end the conversation. Try as best as you can to keep the conversation going. On the right side you are able to see the customer's credits. Never mention this to the customer, this information is just for you, but they don't know that you can see that and they should never know. Okay, so that are some of the most important tips I can give you to make sure you deliver good quality work. If you perform poorly, you will be put on a blacklist. That also means that you will not be able to work in another studio, so it is very important to give good performance. Moderators should all have a bank account. Those in Suriname should have an SRD account. The earnings are deposited every 10 days, starting on the 15th, the 25th and then the 5th of the next month. The amount you get paid will be explained at the office or by a manager. Information about payment dates will be given through Skype. Visit the office at least once every week for a screening of your work. This is very important to make sure you're doing your job according to the expectations. You can visit the office for screening from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. Not on the weekends. So try to send as many quality messages as you can, because the more you work, the more you earn. That's the principle. It is strictly forbidden to function on other studios' accounts on our work floor. Also, we see every message that you send and we will be monitoring you. When you have questions for us, please do not contact us by phone. We have over 100 employees and we cannot handle all those requests on every payment day. Just come personally at our office if you have any questions. Occasionally you might be waiting for a reply from us by mail but still don't receive anything. If you do not receive emails from us, you can mail us at lm-solution@hotmail.com. Have fun while you earn money. You're an actor. So that's all there is to it for now. If some things are still unclear, feel free to go to your manager to ask for help. But don't ask too many stupid questions I've already given you the answer to. They expect you to be a pro after watching this video after all. Well, at least close to a pro. It was nice to meet you, even though I'm a robot, and you are a human, and I wish you the best of luck and success in your new job here at LMS. Thank you. Well done.